And doesn't that look wonderful, folks? All designed to keep us safe, of course. Wonderful new crowd control measures. Imagine getting caught under that scoop when they're pushing the crowd back. Imagine getting caught in the crowd crush. Imagine how many people are going to be damaged by this, folks. All being done for your health, of course, folks, because we want to keep you safe from the virus. Still pushing the mask wearing everywhere as well. I'm seeing so many people wearing masks, even though there aren't mask mandates here in Queensland. People are still wearing masks. It blows me out. But of course, it's to protect you from the virus, isn't it?
Like, seriously, you need to wear the mask. You will be pulled up. If I've got to change the rules again, sorry, we haven't changed mask rules. If I've got to go further, then of course we will. We're not going to have police being lied to. We're not going to have people just flouting these rules. Wearing a mask is about keeping you, your loved ones and every Victorian safe. It is not too much to ask. The nurse in the intensive care ward will be wearing a mask, and it's not too much to ask that you wear a mask in order to avoid that nurse having to treat more patients than they otherwise would.
Even though the politicians don't seem to follow their own rules. Of course, it's all about protecting you from the virus, and they're just taking it to the next level everywhere. They're getting very Orwellian in New Zealand.
Just a quick message from us. Norway Parade. There's a pop-up vaccination centre just at Henderson Valley Road. Come through and protect our farmers. Free hot chocolates, free coffees. There won't be any less if you don't come down, so I guess you should start making your way right now, Ray. Come on, get out of our beds. Don't be lax and give back.
They're also continuing to be incredibly Orwellian here in Australia. The level of violence is continuing to escalate.
The keys to the window. Wind the window down. Place the keys to the car on the roof now.
I do not consent, officer.
Place the keys
I have
to
not
the car
committed
on the
any
roof
crime.
Now.
I have not committed any crime.
You have. You committed.
I have not committed any crime. I have not committed any
You're
crime.
under arrest. Open the car.
What laws did I break? 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 Relax, Nadine. You're scaring my child. You are scaring my child. What laws have I break? What laws did I break? I have not broken any laws. Sabrina, relax. Mommy, relax. I have not. You are scaring my child. You are scaring my child. They're already under arrest. I do not.
You know, and a young mother and her baby, terrorising a young mother and her baby. What for? I mean, whatever she did wrong, folks, that's no way to give someone a ticket. That's what Victoria has become. You know, if you're in Australia, things are about to go to the next level, folks. They really are. There's been reports of vehicles that look suspiciously like UN vehicles, military vehicles anyway, that are been spotted all over the place. There was some that was spotted in Narrabri in New South Wales. Again, you know, I mean, they're white. I can't see any UN logo on there, but the fact that they're white, UN vehicles are usually white. And there has been reports of UN trucks that have been spotted. I haven't seen any photographs of them yet, but there has been reports of them, and they look like UN vehicles. They're also building what appear to be morgues in Brisbane. At Coomera, at the Westfield Shopping Centre, just behind the Westfield Shopping Centre, they've set up this huge structure. They're saying it's a mobile vaccination centre, but the look of it, it looks like a giant freezer, folks. It looks like a morgue that they're setting up there. So they're expecting things to escalate. And there's been talk of vaccine complacency in Queensland. That's the problem with Queensland, apparently, according to General Furrer.
I'll make sure that everybody gets a dose by Christmas. I'll make sure that we put everything in place that we can to get to 70 as fast as we can. And then once we've got to 70, we'll have a look at working to get to 80.
Whatever his name is, Furrer or something, I don't know, Furrer. According to the Furrer, there is vaccine complacency in Queensland, and that's what's leading to all of our problems. So you can expect them to call an outbreak soon and lock the place down in order to deal with this vaccine complacency. You can expect what's happened in Victoria and in Sydney to come to Queensland. Daniel Andrews is under investigation as well, folks. There has been talk, rumoured, that he is going to have to leave his office this weekend. I won't hold my breath until that actually happens, but there is talk. I mean, he's being investigated by IBAC, which is different to ICAC, which is what was investigating Vladimir Berezjurkov. And there's been all sorts of talk vilifying ICAC now as well, saying that the Anti-Corruption Commission has a lot to answer for. They're doing the wrong thing. Of course, by addressing corruption, they're doing the wrong thing. So there's been all this talk of vilifying the ICAC tribunal people and, you know, limiting their powers and all sorts of stuff so they can't prosecute politicians, which is, of course, what we need them to be doing, folks. I mean, the anti-corruption watchdog is not really allowed to investigate corruption. That's the way they want to take it. Pretty crazy stuff, folks, but that's the way they're doing it. But apparently Danny Andrews is being investigated as well, and there is talk that he's going to have to resign this weekend. We'll just see what happens. I won't believe it till I see it, but, you know, there's so much corruption going on in the Victorian government that, I mean, I don't know how anybody could be in denial of it anymore. It's just out of control what's happening in this country, folks. It seems that the media is picking up on it too. There was a great Freudian slip the other day.
Important day, a new oral treatment, a COVID treatment pill, Molnupiravir, 300,000 doses, saving lives and protecting lives. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
And that's the Federal Health Minister, Greg Hunt. He was giving the COVID update.
Perhaps she's a listener of my show, because that's the way I always refer to him, as Greg Cunt. It just kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, you know? But yeah, maybe she's a listener of the show. And also in Britain, they are questioning why so many people are suddenly getting so sick when there's been this huge vaccine rollout, and they're stumbling over their words trying to cover their tracks in responding to this. But at least they're beginning to ask the right questions.
From last year, 12th September 2020, weekend day, there were 2,656 cases, there were 18 deaths, and there were 218 hospital admissions. We know that after that date, there was lockdown in November, and there was another third national lockdown in January. So take the same day this year, cases more than 10 times as many. 29,173. Deaths 3 times as many, 56. Hospital admissions, over 1,000. So we're looking at withdrawing the restrictions at a time when we're in a far worse position than we were this time last year.
Can we just underline those extraordinary figures? 18 deaths on the 12th of September last year, 56 deaths same day this year. As you say, hospital admissions massively up. I thought vaccines had sorted this out.
No,
I really did.
We've vaccinated 65% of the population. If you bear in mind that we're not vaccinating children, only 65% of the population have been vaccinated, which means that there are millions of people who are unprotected, totally unprotected. What this means is we're going to see large numbers of cases. We're currently seeing about 30,000 cases, far more than we saw this time last year.
But you'd think with the amount of vaccines that had been given, the figures would be going down. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any logical sense.
We're seeing infections in younger people who aren't vaccinated, largely. So we're seeing cases rise, so we're going to see hospitalisations increase.
But why deaths? I can see why kids would get it more, but then they're not very much at risk from COVID. Why do we have 56 deaths on the 12th of September this year, a couple of days yesterday, and 18 last year? Why has it gone up?
Just the number of cases, sheer number of cases. If you have more cases, you're going to have more hospitalisations, you're going to see more deaths. Delta variant is still out there, it's not changed. So the implications of a serious infection with COVID-19 are worse with the more number of cases that you have. And as simple as that. So I'm surprised that they are abandoning all restrictions across the board so quickly. One of which is to not detain people who are infectious.
And that's good to see, at least it's a start. I mean, I don't know how these people could be so stupid and get away with what they've been doing anyway. But at least they're starting to ask the right questions. You know, and they've got to, because it's just being pushed everywhere, folks, most especially in Commonwealth countries, interestingly. I played you that thing the other day where Justin Trudeau was saying that you're going to have vaccines up to like 2024. Hey Rio, you're following us around, Owen. Rio likes to follow us. So they're saying they're going to have vaccines up to 2024. Justin Trudeau has also now announced that all federal workers need to be vaccinated by the end of October, and they're going to have rules in place by November to be able to deal with people who aren't vaxxed.
Chrystia has outlined what the mandatory vaccination that's in place immediately for federal employees will look like. The bottom line, proof of vaccination will be required by no later than the end of this month for all federal employees. And by mid-November, enforcement measures in place will make sure that everyone is vaccinated. This is about keeping people safe on the job and in their communities. And the same goes for the second commitment we made, mandatory vaccination on travel. By the end of October, everyone 12 or older on a plane or train within Canada should be fully vaccinated. But by the end of November, if you're 12 or older and want to fly or take the train, you'll have to be fully vaccinated, as will staff. Testing will no longer be an option before boarding. Done the right thing and gotten vaccinated, you deserve the freedom to be safe from COVID-19, to have your kids safe from COVID, to get back to the things you love. And if you haven't gotten your shots yet but want to travel this winter, let's be clear. There will only be a few extremely narrow exceptions, like a valid medical condition. For the vast majority of people, the rules are very simple. To travel, you've got to be vaccinated. These travel measures, along with mandatory vaccination for federal employees, are some of the strongest in the world. Because when it comes to keeping you and your family safe, when it comes to avoiding lockdowns for everyone, this is no time for half measures. Already, we're delivering on the first of our vaccine commitments, and in the weeks to come, we'll get the job done on a vaccine passport for international travel. We'll be there to foot the bill for provinces and territories that roll out proof of vaccination programs, and we'll introduce legislation to make it a criminal offence to threaten or harass healthcare workers.
It's happening all around the world, folks. It's October the 15th date in a lot of countries. But they're just continuing to push it, folks. And they're going to continue to push it everywhere. It's just not going to stop. So this is going to be a very short video today, folks. I've got a lot of things I've got to do. I just wanted to pop in and let you know that I'm alive. And I'm going to be offline for the next few days. I've got a lot of stuff I've got to organise in my life. And so you're not going to see me online pretty much at all until, I would say, next Tuesday. You're not going to see me on BitChute, you're not going to see me on Telegram, you're not going to see me on Skype. Maybe a little bit on Skype, maybe a little bit on Telegram, but you're just not going to see anything from me for the next 3 to 4 days because I've got a lot of stuff I've got to organise. And people really need to be thinking about their plan B about now, folks. Things are going to get crazy over the next month. They really are. October is going to be a pretty crazy month, I think. And it's just going to continue to get crazier and crazier from now till the end of the year. The Evergrande crash is going to be significant. If they default on this loan, which I expect they will, it's going to be significant. And, you know, none of this is by, you know, it doesn't just happen, folks. It's all by design. Big companies like this don't get in that much debt by chance, and they don't default on their loans by chance. The whole world is a puppet show, and it's all one criminal organisation. You know, I've said many times, you've got to stop thinking of it as different governments and nations competing with each other and realise it's a big theatre show. The whole thing is a Hollywood production. Same as the whole COVID test thing, it's all a Hollywood production. You know, all of these sets they put everywhere to make you think there's a pandemic. All these wars they put everywhere, and all these militaries they put everywhere, and all these uniforms and flags they put everywhere is to make you think that it's all these competing countries and nations. They all work together. something like the Evergrande crash doesn't just happen by chance. They want to do their Great Reset, and they've got to do it in such a way that the people believe it. So they've got to create this crash, even if it moves into something like China going to war and declaring war on people. Because there's talk of this in China. The Chinese people